The Jeffrey Epstein scandal is involving two British princesses. Former Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson are the parents of Beatrice and Eugenie. CNN reported from London that newly made public Epstein files include hundreds of times their parents' names. However, let's move on to some other matters. Additionally, it has been reported that Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie will not be permitted to attend the royal ascot in June, either in the royal procession with their family. After being apprehended by Interpol, Princess Eugenie is in a panic. She is being questioned about the Epstein bribe she took. It turns out that there were other people who took money from Epstein besides Eugenie's mother. Eugenie was also cashing checks. The worst part is that Epstein's victims are coming out, revealing the precise activities for which Eugenie was compensated, including arranging girls and silencing victims. Every word she says is being believed by the feds. Why? Well, because the Epstein files back up her assertions. Contrary to what most media outlets portray them as, Princess Eugenie and Beatrice weren't only their mother's pawns. Imagine learning that your mother informed a friend that you were not present on a shagging weekend. Let's say that friend has a criminal record. This is the exact degree of humiliation, even though it feels like a flagrant betrayal of trust. Eugenie, princess, had to endure the 3 million new Epstein files that were made public last week. They were adults who made the decision to remain silent about the abuse they witnessed. Recall the time after Epstein was released from prison, did they go see him with their mother? Well, at the time they were 18 and 19. Meal in Miami that took place 5 days after Epstein was released from prison for asking a child for sex. The emails seem to indicate that Sarah Ferguson visited him in Miami with both of her children, Beatrice and Eugenie, and that Epstein may have even covered the cost. They're around $14,000 flights. They weren't children then. Despite being completely aware of what was happening and being legal adults, they opted to remain silent. If their parents are there, is that fair? Fault and they're being penalized? Or have these two also been trading on their regal titles like greedy thieves? It was best expressed by one fan: they weren't 19. Eternally, they never made their parents answerable. The Epstein Association also benefited them, access and money. They said nothing, standing behind their repulsive parents, not one word about the victims, nothing. In addition, Eugenie didn't hesitate to about giving Epstein a tour of Buckingham Palace at her mother's request. "Thank you, Sarah," Epstein says in a March 2010 message to Sarah. "Is it possible that you are ill? Buckingham is thanked by one of your daughters." And Sarah's parent response says, "Of course. Some people believe they were compensated for their services, which is precisely why they want. The girls must be held accountable for their behavior." This is where things start to get really crazy. Because Epstein was a family friend, Eugenie wasn't merely being polite to him. She was also performing the nasty labor. How is that known by Interpol? Beatrice did it too. It's a wise observation. You are unable to disregard the matter of judgment. You know, it's morally dubious to choose to hang out with a man who has already spent time for abusing young girls, whether fair or not that. However, Beatrice and Eugenie's decision to board a plane with Fergie in order to spend time with Epstein has negative effects on their reputations. The monarchy must consider long-term issues and consider protecting the brand. Sarah emailed Epstein about an interview she conducted with journalist Geordie Greig in order to save her reputation, but Epstein disapproved of the essay, so Sarah seized the opportunity to defend herself. She clarified that during a conversation with Greig, she had in fact defended Epst, and you know what, she had Beatrice by her side after I ended our conversation with. After talking Geordie, Beatrice, and I decided it was crucial to give Geordie a call back to make sure he knew the seriousness of not making a mistake and getting it wrong about Jeffrey because he was put to prison for bleep, but that he had completed his time and was getting out of jail and starting a new life. Furthermore, there's a good likelihood Eugenie was also involved if Beatrice did it. In reality, Interpol has proof that Eugenie was taking bribes in exchange for creating victims. Vanish. Fergie was financially supported by Epstein for 15 years, beginning immediately following her divorce from Andrew in 1996, according to the Epstein archives. He gave debt relief and sent money. Fergie even acknowledged taking €15,000 from him in 2011. Interpol claims that Eugenie was also pocketing funds, despite the public's perception that Sarah was the only one who benefited from the money thus far. Epstein seems to be enamored with her and Beatrice, so it's not totally implausible. Any chance of your daughter saying hello, was one of his emails to Sarah. Naturally, he would be prepared to spend money on her. Unfortunately, Eugenie must now answer for taking money from the most repulsive PDF file in history. Regretfully, Interpol is the least of Eugenie's concerns. Issues: she and her sister have been barred from the royal ascot. Beatrice and Eugenie have reportedly been informed that they would not be able to attend the royal ascot this year, according to the Mail. Eugenie should also be prohibited from attending royal functions. For the foreseeable future, princesses won't be going to high-profile events. According to reports, this includes royal ascot in June, when they often show up in the royal box and participate in the remaining family members in the carriage sequence. The Epstein archives contain hundreds of names for the princesses themselves. There are some relationships with Epstein that are what you could refer to it as tangential. Naturally, the decision caught the sisters completely off guard, but the publication claims that it is a part of a larger plan to keep the princesses out of all public events for the foreseeable future. The future, to put it another way, things will only get worse. Additionally, it appears that Prince William has told the rest of the family not to be in any pictures with Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie for the remainder of the year. In addition, following their father's incarceration, Eugenie and her sister are being requested to abandon their royal titles. The Daily Express was informed by author Andrew Lowy that they should resign their titles. They should accomplish that first, as it is the reason for the interest. For safety, he thinks the girls are clinging to their titles. She is always Her Royal Highness. When Princess Beatrice is marketing companies in the Middle East, that's making use of her royal status. In reality, she is Mrs. Mapelli Maisie now, but nobody would give her a few minutes if she were built like that. They must cease abusing their royal position to enrich themselves, just as their parents did. I believe we must also appear very. Take a close look at a few of the charity. Is this a sincere attempt to assist, or is it just about protecting their reputations? Do they receive compensation for their work? This is where things start to get really crazy. Eugenie seems to be giving it some serious thought. One royal insider claims that Eugenie is experiencing a crisis. Right now, all she wants to do is shield her and her husband Jack Brooks Banks' children, August 5 and Ernest 2, from this terrible circumstance. She is considering her alternatives as a result of this, and it's no. She maintains a tight relationship with Harry and Meghan, who have been attempting to persuade her to collaborate with them for a long time. Since Prince Harry is one of the few individuals she feels comfortable confiding in, it appears that she is depending on him above all others. Additionally, he provides evidence that life exists outside of the hospital, which is exactly what she needs right now. However, the insider claims that if she goes ahead and begins working for Harry and Meghan, it will probably mean the end of any connection to Kate and William. The public's lack of sympathy for Eugenie is much worse. I find it unbelievable that people believe these two are innocent. They have never been innocent. The citizens of the United Kingdom are not respected by your role. You are merely pawns. The entire family is involved. Time to do away with the monarchy. Therefore, there won't be any tears if she chooses to renounce her royal title, just applause. It's safe to conclude that Eugenie can no longer conceal herself behind her regal status. In fact, she may be punished more severely because of her familial standing. Even her mother is unable to intervene to save her this time, because Eugenie is all too familiar with this. One insider said that she's contemplating fleeing to California. Others, meanwhile, claim that she is relocating to Portugal permanently. Will is the only question. Before it's too late, Interpol let her too. Or will Eugenie be wearing an orange soon, a jumpsuit?